introduce you to Soroghan and Ryan Doan. Hey, welcome.
Hello.
It's great to see you today. Thanks for joining us for the event. And I know that there's a few folks tuned in out there who are super stoked to hear more about the Impactor plugin. And so I'll let you both take it away with your presentation, and looking forward to it. Thanks.
Cool. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining the stream, or like Samuel said, tuning in later on YouTube or wherever you might find us. We were on here about a year ago, Sean and I, talking about Impactor, or I don't remember exactly what we called it at the time, but it was a prototype or an experiment. And now it's a product or a project that's wrapped up and in production. And I thought I'd just introduce it, and we'll show a great video that we worked on that I think demonstrates it, and then we can go from there. So first of all, what is Impactor? What are we talking about when we say that? So it's a new source plugin. It's a prototype, but we'll talk about what that means specifically in a bit. And it allows designers or developers, or however you want to identify yourself, to load impact sounds into a plugin and create variations through cross synthesis, and also manipulate the sounds with physical parameters. You can check out the URL there, and it has all the information and more. And so now we'll play a video that goes into a little bit more detail about how it works, what it sounds like, and stuff.
Impactor is a new impact modeling plugin prototype for Wwise, which allows designers to generate new variations from a library of existing sounds using cross-synthesis, and hook these sounds into the physics of a game using intuitive, physically informed parameters. When you add a sound file to Impactor, it is analysed in the background and split into two components, the impact and the body. The impact refers to the initial collision when an object is struck. The body refers to the resonance of the object after the initial strike. In the UI, you can mix and match impact and body components of different sounds. Impactor will randomly select between impact and body components each time it plays. Impactor features 4 physically inspired parameters: mass, velocity, position, and roughness. Increasing or decreasing the mass of a sound simulates changing the physical size of the impacted object by implementing frequency warping. The velocity controls frequency-dependent damping that is applied to both the impact and body components. A lower velocity value will produce more damping, whereas a velocity value of 1 will produce no damping. The position parameter can be used to simulate the effect of striking an object at different points on its surface. Non-linear frequency-dependent gain ramps are applied to the body component of the sound. The position parameter controls the position of this internal gain ramp. In other words, varying the position will produce subtle differences in the resonant part of the sound. These parameters have been designed such that they can be easily driven from the physics of a game through RTPCs. In order to demonstrate the use of the Impactor plugin prototype in a game environment, an example level was created using the Unreal Engine. The Impactor Unreal demo consists of multiple objects and surfaces that can collide and trigger impact events. There are footsteps for each ground surface, and there is a weapon which fires projectiles of varying size. Each of the objects and materials have corresponding WISE events that trigger one or more instances of impactor. Each instance of impactor has mass and velocity hooked up to RTPCs, and these are driven by the game when collisions occur. When two objects collide, each object triggers a WISE event, and corresponding RTPC values are sent for each object. The velocity values are calculated using a combination of the momentum of each object and the density of their materials. The mass values are read directly from the Unreal Physics engine for dynamic objects. For static objects such as the walls and the floors, the mass of the impact is weighted by the impacting object's mass. Regardless of the complexity of the physics system in the game, the velocity and mass parameters in Impactor provide a useful entry point for sound designers. They simplify integration with the game physics such that the sounds respond naturally to varying contexts. For most of the sounds in the Unreal demo, the position parameter is randomized to add further variation. However, the position parameter can be driven directly from the game in some circumstances. For example, the large rusted barrel and the large glass walls both use the position of the hit point on their surface to set the position RTPC.
Cool. So that hopefully gave you a deeper dive into how, what Impactor looks like, how it sounds, how to interact with it, and an example of like what it might look like in the wild. So now, as a sort of public service announcement, I want to just try and clearly give everyone the information about where you can get Impactor. So Impactor is available in the launcher when you install Wise. It's at the bottom of the plugin list there. You can look for that icon, etc. And similar to the mastering suite, you need a free license in order to generate sound banks. So you'll see this warning the first time you create an instance of Impactor in your Wise project, and you'll just need to go to that the Impactor URL on the site and get our license there. Built in the SDK directory of the Impactor plugin. So when you install Wise, if you select the SDK in the launcher and get the version, is that Impactor demo that you saw in the video. The Wise project is there, the Unreal project is there with its blueprints, and also pre-built executable. So if you want to just open it up and connect to Wise and look at the profiler, you can do that, but you can also mess with it and rebuild it yourself and stuff. It's all there for you. If you have or if you need more information about Impactor, of course, there's documentation in the Wise help. And Sean and I have also worked on and are working on some blogs and writing that examine a little more certain core aspects of Impactor. So I wrote the first one about this sort of general analysis and synthesis model that Impactor uses, and how you'd interact with it and what's going on under the hood. And then Sean wrote a follow-up blog on the demo and how you might tie Impactor into a game physics system or your game integration. Sean, did you have anything else here you wanted to add about the Impactor demo? I know it's mostly your work.
Sure. So it focuses, the Impactor Unreal demo focuses on integration with game physics and how Impactor can be used, the parameters of Impactor can be used to integrate nicely with the physics of a game. And this kind of, the focus on game parameter integration kind of emerged during development, because as Ryan has said, this is like a experimental prototype type project. So the aims and objectives kind of shifted as we developed, and we realized that well, part of what we did was continuous iteration on which parameters to expose, because the underlying core algorithm that's used here has multiple parameters that you could expose. Ryan touches on this in the first blog post. And we initially exposed quite a lot of those parameters and then gradually worked it down to like 3 core ones. And part of that iteration was integrating it with like example games or example projects. And on this Unreal demo that is packaged with the plugin is kind of the latest example of that, and it's designed to give demonstrations of ways in which these parameters can be driven from RTPCs that come from the game side. Yeah, and that's basically everything, I think. It's a fun thing to try out yourself and walk around and see how Impactor is being used. And yeah, there's some specific examples that you might find interesting or useful if you're looking to use Impactor for your own game. So yeah, that's it.
Cool. Yeah, it's really satisfying to just like break things and watch them fall apart, and then the bounces of the balls and stuff.
It's very fun to blow up boxes.
Cool. And as a teaser, we're working on a follow-up blog, hopefully in a few weeks, that will talk about the cross-synthesis aspects that Impactor is capable of. So obviously, if you put 8 sounds into the plugin, it will give you like 8 times 8, or 64 different possible variations. And it's hard to look at or listen to all those variations and know what you're getting. So we started to look at like dimensionality reduction and like data visualization techniques to give ourselves, but also everyone out there a good idea of like what Impactor is doing when it does cross synthesis. So there's just sort of a teaser picture of what we're looking at, and hopefully there'll be more writing to explain that later on. So like now that we're here and you know a little bit more about Impact, you know where to get it. Hopefully there's no hurdles there. You can read more about it. We just wanted to take the time to talk about why we made Impactor and what the motivation was. Especially going back a year ago, we felt we had a novel technology, and like Sean said, we developed the plugin and the demo and the gameplay side by side or simultaneously. So we thought we had a clever workflow, and instead of trying to perfect it internally in some way, it seemed like a cooler, more interesting thing to get it out into the wild and try to have as few barriers to access as possible, and then learn from how our users and how sound designers use and misuse the plugin. And as an aside, this gives us opportunities to write about and make videos about our work within the R&D team and research that we're doing there. So like I said in the first slide, when we say it's a prototype or that it's experimental, what we mean by that, what we're hoping is that we get feedback and can learn from users and the community and get feedback there. So you are participants in this experiment, but we engineered this like any other kind of WISE feature, and so it's been QA'd properly. We're confident in its stability or performance, and it's also important to emphasize that this shouldn't messing around with Impactor or incorporating it into your game shouldn't be at the risk of your ability to ship your game on time or the performance of your game. It's we stand by that aspect of the software. So lastly, I wanted to sort of highlight all the ways in which you can relay information back up to us about Impactor. Within the plugin itself, there's a link to a survey, and we set up a survey list for some more formal questions that you can answer. And it would be a huge help if you ever feel like filling out that survey and giving us honest feedback. If not now or next week, even 6 months or a year down the line. Once you've tried it out or done a bunch of things, maybe you have pain points or frustrations. That's all. We'd love to hear that. Audiokinetic is on the usual places of social media. Our blogs get posted there. The YouTube, the video you watched is on our YouTube channel. There are unofficial WWWOE communities online that we don't formally support, like Witches and Wizards, but as developers and people who are on the edges of the community, we pay attention to these places and see what people say. So, while we probably can't formally answer things in those communities, it's nice to see things get discussed organically there. There's our community Q&A feature on our website where you can ask and respond to questions on audiokinetic.com. Damien has the Open Ears Audiokinetic email address for feature requests and suggestions and other things you want to try and pass up to the developers there. And then, of course, in a more practical sense, if there are bugs or crashes in the authoring tool, you have the bug reporter there. We catch those and look at bugs and things. And if you're trying to ship a game and you have an impact or physics system working and you need a little bit more help, of course, the sort of traditional avenues of Audiokinetic support are there, and like Impactor is, not excluded from that pipeline. So, yeah, that's really all. Thank you for sticking around to listen to us follow up about Impact, and hopefully this isn't the last time we get to talk about this, and we get to hear more from the community as well. We'll obviously be hanging out in the Discord later this afternoon. Cheers.
Awesome work. Great presentation, and thanks so much to both of you. From my standpoint, I know both of you as highly creative, deep maths individuals, right? And Impactor really brings a level of accessibility that is clearly evolved through your passion for the simulation that underlies all of this technology, but also speaks to your creative desire to create sounds for these experiences with a high level of realism. And it's really cool. It's a really cool plugin, really well done. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
And for those of us who have been working with WWWOE for 100 years or more, we will see this as a kind of evolution of SoundSeed Impact. This brings a more accessible functionality of creating a myriad of variations from a smaller subset of sources, again, leveraging smart technology to increase the number of variations, to increase the ability to control that through parameterization in games, and it's really well done. So
it was it was inspired by the first Impact, if you know about SoundSeed Impact. But the reason we're not just calling it a direct follow-up is because it's evolved quite a lot and it's turned into its own thing, really, in a way.
It is night and day for any folks who used that in the past, and that is a true statement. Absolutely, Sean. Thanks so much to both of you today for sharing your expertise. Folks in the chat are ready to get up on that Unreal demo and start smashing some stuff. So I'm super happy. And as you said, bring that feedback. We're always looking to evolve. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Damien.
All right.